past 9 o'clock, the 31st day of May 2025. Welcome aboard the Big Set on Western Uganda's biggest radio station, 91.2 Cruise FM. Great music, great friends. Good morning from wherever that you're tuned in. My name is Wesige Banyaji, right here on Plot 12, Mutile, Mbara City is where we are airing live. We are online and on air on www.cruisefm.com/stream. Right on our website is where you can just find a tap and you stream live. But you can be able to watch the show on Cruise TV for TikTok and YouTube. Go on your social media and go to YouTube, type in Cruise TV. You'll be able to watch the big set this morning. The numbers to call to be a part of the conversation is 0752 912 912 and 780 912 910. Our topic of discussion is already on our social media handles, 912 Cruise FM on Facebook and 91.2 Cruise FM on X and Instagram. Follow, give us feedback, like, comment, subscribe, and we shall be honored to have your feedback. Now, this morning, we are talking about something that Ugandans did not anticipate or see coming. The president apologized to Ugandans. And with his wife, Honorable Janet Kataha Museveni, at Kololo airstrip, in a function that was organized by the first daughter, Natasha Ruabo, and I mean Patience Ruabogo, preaching, and she's a pastor, she has a church. The president wrote a written apology with the wife, apologizing to Buganda, especially, but in Uganda in general, for all the sins that have been committed, all the missteps, or mistakes, or whatever shortfalls that have been committed by the NRM in the last 40 years. Now, how did Ugandans receive this apology? Something that we shall be talking about this morning. But we're also expecting the Honorable for Bukoto Central, Engineer Richard Sebamara, to join us this morning. We shall also be talking about the Democratic Party holding its National Delegates Conference that is happening at a smart hotel here in Ruti, Mbarara. And we know certainly that he had been locked out of that engagement. Honorable Mao called him unqualified to stand for the presidency of the party. But we know that the Democratic Party, prior to this delegates conference, some of the delegates accompanied the President General, Honorable Mao, to Gulu to meet General Salem Saleh. And we want to know what this means for the party and where it's headed. Don't forget that the Democratic Party has a cooperation agreement with the NRM that gave an opportunity to Chairman Mao to serve as the Constitutional Affairs Minister, but also the Secretary General, Seranda, to represent Uganda in the East African Legislative Assembly. And with less than 2 months to end the current financial year 2024-2025, Parliament gave government a go-ahead to borrow up to about 500 million euros. That's about 2.6 trillion Ugandan shillings to finance the current 72.1 trillion budget. We definitely have a deficit budget, meaning we cannot be able to domestically mobilize those resources to take care of our budget. So what does government do? Either borrow domestically or outside. Now, the negative effects of borrowing domestically would mean that the interest rates here will go up because of the crowd out effect. The economists know this, where the small banks are, competing with government for money in the same market. So government tries to avoid some of these negative spillovers, and it borrows externally. What that means is that we also have a higher debt burden. Now, Africa lost celebrated writer and novelist Ngugi wa Thiong'o, who passed away in the United States. He promoted African literature. He was only short of winning the Nobel Prize. But if I tell you a student of literature from way back, I will marry when I want. I don't know. There are so many other titles of the books that were written by Ngugi wa Thiong'o, that Kenyan professor. We stand with Kenyan and Africa and celebrate the 87 years of impact. Now, Captain Francis Babu and the National Chamber of Commerce Executive Director Olive Chigongo's son Cedric Babu's health caused a public outpour over a GoFund campaign to raise 1.5 billion for a heart transplant in London. Now we know this gentleman is the vice president for the Patriotic League of Uganda in Kampala, in Buganda, literally. And he collapsed in Kigali and rushed to Nairobi, where he's in the intensive care unit. The doctors only said that the remedy that he has is to have a transplant that will cost about 1.5 billion shillings. Now, there's been a way to mobilize Ugandans and the entire world to contribute, but elements, especially from the opposition, are literally saying, feel the music, you deserve it, you should not go through what Ugandans are dealing with, and the debate is online. And some Ugandans are calling for national healing, and literally we need to sit and talk as Ugandans and forgive each other, because why would one Ugandan be happy that another Ugandan is going through a very difficult time? Now, President Museveni signed the sugar cane amendment bill into law, meaning it's an act now, promising renewed support for both sugarcane farmers and reaffirming government support in reforming the agricultural sector. That there. Now, Dr. Kizza Besigye and his co-accused Haji Obed Kamlege were committed to the High Court after the Magistrates Court refused to grant him mandatory bail, having been on remand for more than 180 days. Mandatory bail there was denied, and it was referred to the High Court. We hope that the High Court will be able to, grant Dr. Besigye and Haj Obeid Lutale mandatory bail. Now, UPDF suspended its cooperation agreement or any kind of engagement with Germany over allegations of the ambassador supporting wrong elements in Uganda. Now, we saw a meeting that happened in Gulu where there was an altercation between veteran journalist Andrew Mwenda with the German ambassador. We also followed what the CDF wrote on his social media handles, where he said he will be able to deal with the German and he will fight, he will have to leave and all this. And we know that General Sali apologized before these ambassadors on behalf of the first son. So we shall also be able to talk about how did this happen and was it handled in the best way. And that is part of what we are going to be talking about this morning. Former president of the Democratic Republic of Congo, Joseph Kabila, was seen in Goma holding engagements with the M23. What does this mean? It's a matter of you and I to, see what the future holds for Congo. Good morning, Apollo to Musimi, and welcome to the Big Set.
Good morning, Wesigay, and the listeners of the Big Set. Wesigay, also the lifeline of the week. We saw a viral video of President Macron being slapped by the wife, and it caught some attention because it looks like both through the same, and we've been here talking about domestic violence, especially when men are victims. Sometimes they don't talk about it, or they shy away. And in that viral video, when he was slapped, he looked smiling and funny, as if it's easy, but it gives us a broader picture that, yeah, we know what men are going through out there. So I want to encourage men who are victims of violence, like they are being tortured by their wives or something. So we pray that they become so strong. And in any case, if you feel the pressure is too much, you leave out the marriage. But also, when a moderator, we had constitutional ruling at the High Court. We had the High Court ruling by Justice Bernard Namanya.
And it is strange that he didn't mention it I mean, among the highlights of the week.
It's okay, it's the moderator, and but it caught my attention. It caught my attention, so it's fine. So
No,
the
it skipped my mind, but it's good you put it on record.
yes, yeah. So Justice Bernard Namanya gave a ruling in the case that was filed by Farida Nambi against Honorable Elias Rimbazi Nalokora, and it was decided in Nambi's favor. The only issue that is debatable here is how the justice has set seemingly bad precedent that every time you fear you are losing an election, it is okay for you to cause a bit of violence, whether it's you doing that or you have hired some people to do that, and then the Electoral Commission has no control over what happens in terms of the violence that is caused, and then the electoral materials are destroyed, and then the votes do not reach the tally center, and then you get a good point to make in the petition. So, and I've just seen that in different NRM elections, structure elections that have happened in different districts. So we saw one in Zimbabwe, the Honorable Anifa Kawoya. Yeah, it's fine. Honorable Anifa Kawoya, after realizing that she would lose, the line was becoming too long, she decided to abscond the election. So Justice Bernard Namaya did not do us a very good favor, and we're going to see a couple of things happening in the coming general elections. That's what I observed.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, wait. Good morning, Asibu Vandizi, and welcome to the Big Seat. I know that you were in Tungama last weekend, and thank you for the work that you did for the coffee marathon. And in a ton of events, we also saw an altercation between the person you support so much, Honorable Robert Rukari, and a couple of individuals where he almost drew a gun on these people and wanted to shoot. What is the problem? What's not happening with Honorable Rukari?
Thank you so much, Westgate, our moderator. Good morning, my fellow panelists, our dear listeners out there. The reason as to why we come here every Saturday morning to dig deep into the issues around us, nationally, internationally. Allow me, I will talk about those two key things because they've also been among my highlights for the week, but I will start by appreciating His Excellency and the First Lady Mama for coming out and making an apology to Uganda and Uganda for whatever could have gone wrong in the last 40 years. Because for decades, it's a very long time to leave it perfectly without any wrong here and there. And it's a bold move. It's a good gesture from them as the fountain of honor, the First Lady, them being role models to very many Ugandans and globally. The coffee marathon, I don't want this thing to have politics in it. I've been there. At first, I also had my negative perception about it. The fact that it was purely funded by us, the taxpayers. But when you go to Rashamire and you see what is happening on the ground, the level, the kind of facility it is, variation, soluble coffee, different coffee products, and the impact it's already having on the ground. As we speak right now, they are already...
But that's not very different from the banana factory we had in... No, I think we still have in Bushenyi.
No, Banyaji,
where there is a lot of hope.
Listen,
and in fact,
I beg you
that good
professor
had displayed products of Toke, and we know that some
Banyaji,
of those products made it to the shelf.
Times change, and these are projects under different management, set up by different people from different walks of life. Nelson Tugume is pure an entrepreneur. He's already employing over 750 Ugandans. When you go there right now, Ugandans, leave alone the Chinese that are setting up the facility. And by the time he will hit his maximum production capacity, he will be employing directly people involved in the coffee, the Africa Coffee Park production, over 2,500 Ugandans. When you look at its impact that it will have on our balance of trade, our exports vis-a-vis imports. It will bring down the cost of the dollar in comparison to the exchange rate of the Ugandan shilling against. So I don't care who the proprietors are. I'm just looking at a bigger picture. When the dollar goes down, every person that is into export and import benefits. Then when we talk about employment and the value of coffee, the final farmer, Banyaji, in the proceeds from that marathon are meant to start a cooperative for women that are into the coffee sector, so that they can get affordable financing.
But which proceeds can come out from
Listen,
an event
Banyaji, you see,
where you invested billions of shillings and you can never collect it in what was given by participants?
How I wish you had made it that day and you are not occupied here. You would be on my side, appreciating what I'm saying.
Okay.
Two, it's a combination of two things. It's a production center, but it's also a state-of-the-art tourism facility for the global coffee industry. There are several things that have been set up to use one stone to kill two birds.
Okay, another.
Fast forward on the issue of my friend, Honorable Dr. Robert Mwesgwarukari. We all know it's a tight race for the Chairman Entrepreneurs League NRM sake between him, the incumbent, Hassan Basajabaraba, the one that he replaced, and this new entrant from South Africa, Philip Kakuru. This, what you saw, it was a setup by Hassan Basajabaraba. I can't shy away from saying it. And when we talk about someone almost getting a gun in self-defense, that's what it's meant to do when you feel threatened. Luckily enough, this is someone that is professionally trained and he's a thorough professional. That's why they didn't get what they wanted. He never used it much, as he had personal security on the ground and he was armed and his life was threatened. But those are small things that are going to be handled.
Welcome.
The alliance of Philip Kakuru and Basaja Baraba, we are going to beat them hands down. Come the NRM National Delegates Conference. Even the games they've been trying to manipulate the system to get illegitimate delegates into the system, they will not succeed.
Okay.
Finally, Banyaji,
yes.
I want to say hello to one of your ardent listener and follower, Bamwesije from my district, Mitoma. He's online right now, and we wish them a nice show.
Good morning, Council Bwenja, and welcome to the Big Set.
Yes, the pleasure is mine. I think I'll start off from the judgment of the High Court. What a good judgment it was. And I will speak both as a member of the opposition and as an advocate of the High Court. As a member of the opposition, it is very bad because our numbers in Parliament are small, and so it's not good to see a fellow member of the opposition being kicked out of Parliament. But you see, the fact that the members of Parliament in opposition are few, it is not a license for the High Court to make decisions in their favor. Because if a person does not qualify to be in Parliament, then they should not be there. But on the other hand, as an advocate, I'm interested in the resolution of the issues. I'm interested in the hearing of the case on the merits of it, and of course the expeditious trial.
Do you associate with the reasoning of the judge?
And I'm also interested in the application of the law to the facts of the case, the evaluation of the evidence, and the reasoning. And the reasoning was perfect.
Okay, let's stop for a break. When we come back, we'll be getting right into a topic of discussion. Don't touch your radio. We'll be right back. Good morning. We're back. It's 27 minutes past 9 o'clock on Western Uganda's biggest radio station, 91.2 Cruise FM. Good music. Good friends. My name is Wesige Banyaji. With me in studio is Apologises Msime, who is a political economist. Asimwe Bandezi is a member of the Patriotic League of Uganda, and Council Bwenje Delstedit, who is a lawyer. We're expecting Honorable Richard Sebamara, who is the Member of Parliament for Bokoto Central, who is running to be President General of the Democratic Party. The party is holding its delegates conference that is happening here in Ruti, Mbarara City, and a lot that has been happening within that political party, from the assumption of Chairman Mao as President General of the party, to the cooperation agreement with the National Resistance Movement, to the appointment of Mao into cabinet, appointment of the election of Serana into the East African Legislative Assembly, and then the exit of the different members of parliament from the Democratic Party to the NUP and all other different political parties. We also know that there is a new child for a party in the Democratic Front that is being sold by the Honorable Member of Parliament from Nyendo Mukungwe, Honorable Matthias Mpoga, who is the former leader of opposition. All these are literally from the Democratic Party. And we know there's a speech of the president when he said there is no DP without Museveni. So is it Museveni that is creating all this antagonism within the party? If he is able to make it here, we shall be able to put these questions to him. But before we go into that, let's talk about the apology by His Excellency the President. And what does this apology mean for Ugandans, especially for the opposition? Apollo to Musime, when you saw the President apologizing to Ugandans, here where we come from in the West, hearing a Munyankore apologizing to you is not commonplace. And now, for the caliber of President Museveni saying, I am sorry, I was wrong, it's in a twilight, really. But also publicly and taking responsibilities for the shortfalls of the National Resistance Movement for the last 40 years. How did you receive the apology? But also, do you think it's a genuine apology?
Thank you, Wesige. First of all, President Museveni, in his nature of politics, he has been profound when it comes to matters of dialogue and reconciliation. But usually when he's seeking for dialogue or for reconciliation, he always flaunts his terms first. For example, when they were going to restore the kingdoms, and to start with, of course, it was Uganda that was on the front page. In that meeting, when he was discussing on how to restore the kingdoms, of course, Buganda, the people of Buganda, the Buganda kingdom, wanted, first of all, to have their kingdom restored. But secondly, they wanted to have what they say they are even to be their things, I don't know. And then, of course, they were seeking for positions in the government to do with federal and the stuff. And President Museveni allowed that they reinstate to Uganda, and then process by process they start returning their things. Of course, much of that was their land. So he has been vocal when it comes to dialogue and reconciliation for people who dissent with what he believes in. But now, coming to apologize publicly, that has never been him. You see, every time there is a confrontation or whatever from the members of opposition, he uses a very strong voice, and he reminds us that he is the general of the Bush War. He reminds us of the struggle of the NRA and all the struggles he has been through, the FRONASA and UNRF and the like of the stuff. So he has never been a kind of a person who will just apologize for mistakes publicly. So in a nutshell, we will see that it is instead Mama Janet, I would say, from my reading that Mama Janet, who is a very good Christian by the way, and the fact that now their daughter is a pastor, and she is preaching forgiveness here and there, and Mama Janet loves her children so much, and she has been supportive to the daughter's church. So she's the one who influenced this public apology. Now, because immediately after the apology, we saw the tweets from Mama Janet, of course, telling us about the transition that is coming, that is creating a bit of tension, that we might be heading for days that are very hard. And then she of course she was encouraging us that we have to be strong and to go through this transition. So the question you put to me, was it a genuine apology? To Mama Janet, yes, it was a genuine apology. Of course, they were reading the document, both of them at a go, but to President Museveni, it was not genuine. President Museveni, of course, given for the things that are happening now, and we are focusing on the 12th January, which could be the day for elections, is also trying to seek for public sympathy, of course, especially from the people of Uganda, who have been affected by the decisions of his agents, because he said we apologize for our mistakes and the mistakes done by our agents. So, and when he says his agents, we should understand who are the agents are. I think somehow he almost read the chief agent he was trying to refer to, and since this one is a big seat, we should put things to light. The tweets from the CDF and how he has been handling these issues, not the way how President Museveni by the way handles his politics, but the CDF, of course, on contrary, he has been handling these things, and the Uganda felt they are being victimized. You saw the Katikilo being so sound and speaking so much loud in louder voice, and you saw the president for NUP also speaking with the same language. So they needed to give us a statement in regard to the search. Of course, you will never see the CDF apologizing. He cannot, for him, because it, I think, something to do with nonsense. If he has to apologize, it is either his uncle that has influenced him or someone above him. So it's either his uncle or the president.
Okay.
So, but when Mama Janet talked about the anticipated transition and the way she was writing, with showing a little bit of tension, it's as if there is some kind of, I don't know whether it's a fight or a big discussion within the powerhouse, within the power corridors of the family. Actually, they must be holding meetings in the morning, the afternoon, and the evening to discuss how this transition is going to work out. But now, right now, Ugandans should know that this is the last term. If President Museveni wins the election of January, this is his last term, and we are going to spend these 5 years trying to discuss transition. Okay. There is a big, I would say, confrontation within the family corridor to discuss power, whether they should actually front General Muhoozi or any other person, because according to the odds, he is abusing the chance of becoming the heir to the throne somehow.
Thank you, Apollo. Thank you, Apollo. When you said come January, this could be General Museveni's last term, we should have seen the faces of the parliament. they were almost saying, why are you making... why are you clowning around? Yes, but thank you for that. I think you've given us very good background. Let me come to Asim very deliberately. We know certainly that this apology was only a week, and ambassador and other ambassadors over the statements of your leader in the Patriotic League of Uganda, and we saw that it followed an apology to General Sali from the CDF to be caught up in such a situation by General Muhoozi. And when you hear from what Mr. Tumsime is referring to, is that it is very likely that this apology to Ugandans was because of the reckless nature of conduct in the CDF. First, there is a speech by a Catholic father who said, first, we must interrogate this apology. Why didn't President Museveni speak reason as to why he was apologizing? Can he first mention his shortcomings, and then he says, because you see, if I insult you, I must be able to say, Mr. Asimwe, I am sorry for insulting you. But yes, but what General Museveni did was to apologize generally. And Ugandans are saying, wait, sir, you're apologizing, good riddance. But what are you apologizing over? Can we know your shortcomings? Could you, on behalf of the National Resistance Movement, the PLU, and the leadership of the party, speak out in as far as the shortcomings of the NRM that General Museveni was apologizing to? Asim Evangelist.
Thank you so much, Westgate. You know, it's dangerous to sit in a talk show being moderated by a first-class graduate economics from Makerere and a lawyer at the same time.
Yes.
So that question, man, it's killer. But nevertheless, I'll give my opinion.
Yes.
Because I'm not the official spokesperson of NRM. Neither am I the official spokesperson of Patriotic League of Uganda, much as I'm a member to both and I proudly subscribe to both. We must give credit where it's due. His Excellence and Mama Janet, what they did caught us unaware, off guard. Even the opposition guys are surprised. That's why even this Reverend Father, I watched his testimony. It was so good. Because bottom line, if you're apologizing, we must interrogate what could have gone wrong. What are you apologizing for? And as I earlier said in my opening remarks, I give them credit. I thank them. I appreciate they are setting a precedent. Because the way you earlier said, here in Ankole, Munyankole man to apologize, let alone publicly, and moreover, His Excellency that we know. But we should not be oblivious to the fact that he has always been a peacemaker. He loves engagement, reconciliation, forgiving, forgetting, and moving on. The reason as to why our cabinet, we have people from all different walks of political parties. The previous parties, the founding, some of the parties that were there from the inception, from the time we got independence, these newly formed political formations. We even have family members of the previous regimes in our government. Talk of our Central Executive Committee. One of the members on that committee is an appointee by His Excellency, who happens to be a daughter to the late Idi Amin Dada. Look at the composition of the cabinet. Jim Akena's wife is a minister. Some of the FDC MPs are ministers in our government.
Moses Ali,
Tito
Kero's son.
Tito Kero's. So he has always tried to foster, to bring on board each and every Ugandan. But nevertheless, the way he said earlier, man, 4 decades, it's a very long time.
We're stopping for a break. I'll come back to you. But certainly, you've not hit the nail in as
now
far
I'm going
as
to.
speaking out what you think the president was apologizing for. Let's come back after that, brother. Good morning.
It's tough. It's bold. It's
right, it's a quarter to 10 o'clock on Western Uganda's biggest radio station, 91.2 Cruise FM. Good music, good friends. The voice on your radio is Wesige Banyaji. I have Apollo Museveni. He's a political economist, a member of the Alliance for National Transformation. That party, Apollo Museveni. We are heading for the elections, but you're in slumber. I don't know. This time round, I don't know which miracle God is going to do for the Alliance for National Transformation. I have Mr. Simwe Bandis, who is a lawyer and a member of the National Resistance Movement and the Patriotic League of Uganda. And Council Bwenjes, who is the advocate of the High Court. We're talking about the apology of His Excellency the President and the First Lady, with the context of one, why were they apologizing, the timing of the apology, and what does this mean to Ugandans. Simwe Bandis, before we took that break, you are giving credit to the president having incorporated all these other families from the past regimes. We know they are generals in the military, both retired and serving, that were in the previous armies. And family members of, you just mentioned, Jimmy Akena's wife is a minister. And we have Okero Oryem, who is the son of Tito Okero. And there's so many. Yusuf Ulule's son was the IGG the other time, and there's so many. But the question is, even when this is done and the president has apologized, on the same day, young people that belong to the opposition national interplatform who are still abducted and sent to jail. In Makansing here, one of my carpenters, Isaac Magara, is rotting away in Fort Portal, and the crime he committed is wearing a red beret with an insignia of the Ugandan map, and a T-shirt that had the image of the Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, the president of that party, and all these atrocities that are being done on the young people for supporting the opposition. Isn't there a mismatch between a genuine apology by the president and some of these wrongs that are even continuing to be done on the day of the apology? Banjisi.
Thank you, SK. As a responsible head of the family, when your kid errs, you apologize to your neighbor. And His Excellency, in his wisdom, the man he is, that is nationally, internationally, and globally admired, he did the right thing. His apology is for several things. We all know we have challenges of state corruption, challenges of embezzlement of public funds, challenges of some of our own sisters, brothers, mothers, children who are in public service or in security agencies that err. Under the law, they are supposed to be held accountable, or their mother agencies should be. Because in Uganda, it's not a failed state, the laws of the land should be respected. That's the reason as to why we've seen multiple cases being brought against different government entities, and the opposition people have won, or even Ugandans have won some of these human rights violation cases, the likes of Ingrid Turinawe and others. So him apologizing as the fountain of honor, make no mistake about it, it means a lot. 2, the second phase of the apology should be walking the talk. Can we rectify some of the few things that have gone wrong here and there? Because we must accept globally, each and every country has its own challenges. When you look at US right now, when you look at Germany, when you look at UK, these are some of the democracies that have been in existence for over 200 years. Uganda is a young democracy. But I thank God, and I believe that all Ugandans appreciate the fact that Rome wasn't built in one day, and we are on the right track. When you talk about His Excellency coming out to apologize, what are we seeing in the other opposition parties? We are talking about the DP, Delegates Conference, here in Imbara City at Asama. When you look at some of the outbursts being made by their leaders, instead of being engaging, reconciling. When you look at FDC, they could not agree or apologize and harmonize their differences. We must promote a culture of respecting each other and our divergent views.
Oh, okay.
That's the reason as why right now we have these new political formations, PFF from FDC, DF, the way you rightly put it across. It's DP that has actually given birth to NUP, given birth to DF. And as we speak right now, Uganda, like a small country, we have 28 active political parties. My friend here, his aunt is in that dormant state. So His Excellency are coming out to apologize. He wants to give courage to these other people who feel that maybe they've been wrong to come on board.
Oh, okay.
He engages them in meaningful, constructive reconciliation talks. Thank
Okay.
you so much.
Thank you, Wenje. And I want to yes,
I think it is an affair from my colleague Banjis to and
To allege.
and also the moderator had said the similar statement. So the areas for national transformation, of course, I know the political journey, the political discourse in Uganda may not favor us right now how we are trying to play our politics, but ours is to plant a seed. And we are active, by the way, because the electoral roadmap is also out, and members have been notified when to submit their letters of interest for those who want to contest on different political positions. So the Areas for National Transformation is not dead, is not dormant,
Okay.
it is alive and kicking.
It reminds me when General Mut came here and I told him, you see, every Ugandan thinks that ANT has no problem and General Muntu has no problem, but he said that right there is where the problem is, because I should be able to have a problem. Yes, Council Bwenje, on the apology of the president.
No.
But let's focus on, one, the timing.
Yeah.
We are literally less than a year into the election. But the particulars of the apology are that I apologized, especially to the people of Buganda, where majority of the young people being sent to jail for opposing General Museveni's government are definitely from Buganda.
Yeah.
But also the voting pattern. In the last election, we saw that majority of Buganda voted for the NUP. Was this meant to bring back the hearts of the Baganda and the people in Buganda back to support the NRM and President Museveni?
Yeah, thank you so much. But the question is, was it an apology or was it a prayer? Because it was not addressed to the people of Uganda. It was addressed to some unknown being called God. So God, we ask this and so forth. So actually that was a joke of the year. And you see Museveni and his wife and family think that the people of Uganda are just a herd of cows that you can speak stories to about the maturity, and they keep quiet and they pay quite attention. But we are not cows. We have sense. And I want to warn the people of Uganda not to believe any word of what Museveni said, because he does not intend any word of it. If you want to apologize to the people of Buganda, you know where their Kabaka is. Go there. And if it was an apology, what are you apologizing for? Okay? And at this juncture, where many people are rotting in dungeons, basements, torture houses, and you are not doing anything about it, your son, who is also a very careless soldier, and he's a person under your command. He's torturing people left, right, and center. He's an open member of the NRM, and you have kept quiet about that. And you, without any shame, come in front of us and say, "I'm sorry for what? And so you want to, and also of course it also begs the question: was it an apology by the president? Was it an apology by the first family, or it was an apology by the NRM? Because if it was an apology by the NRM, was it an apology sanctioned by the SEC? Okay, so where does Museveni, derive the authority to apologize on behalf of the NRM if it is not a decision of SEC? I'm aware that under Article 14(1)(h) of the Constitution of the NRM, the national chairperson can do, has the right to do what anything good. What has the right to do whatever is in the interest of the NRM. But such an apology really ought to have been sanctioned by the SEC, and not for Museveni and his spouse to come on TV and try to purport to feel sorry for the people of Uganda when actually they do not.
We're stopping for a breather. When we come back into the second hour, I'll give Council Boenje more opportunity to deliberate. Let's stop for a break. Good morning.
It's
keeping with us on Western Uganda's biggest radio station, 91.2 Cruise FM. Great music, great friends. My name is Wesige Banyaji. Our social media handles is 912 Cruise FM on X and 91.2 Cruise FM on Facebook. Now the messages are in. Let me read some of those messages. We asked you, what do you think about the apology by His Excellency the President? Let's get to hear from you right now on what you think about the apologies by the President on 752-912-912 and 780-912-912. The big set.
Hello, Mr. Anya.
Yes, good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Good morning to you. This is Eji Dacosta. I'm calling from Temple Sinjiro.
Yes.
Let me give out some view.
All right.
I was glad to hear that our president has approached us. But what I want to tell you, Mr. Wanyaji, is this one. The government of us, niwakuwataka tambara wakatukoma misho. Niveja wakwenda kwetu aramuka bantunzi konka pederasti bahenda basira umukari menu umukari cause now nareba mukiryombiro bwa politics. It is good to apologize to us. Then tumusafire byakozere. Then after all tumuhaka ruru. In 5 years naza kora mu bikorero nkamunana ebinde birabindi kirari birya asasije. But sikara amarire ayizagara kaze kusaba kusasa but weekend cyakozera ari n'ekintu kirungi. Onkanyo nintekateka ahabwanje mazima we don't know where we are going for sure. A very good morning.
All right, I appreciate you, sir, for taking time to call in and give your opinion. Let me pick more of those calls on 752-912-912 and 780-912-910. The big set.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, good morning. This sounds
Good
like
morning, Banyanji.
Yes, this sounds like Madilu in Hima.
This is Madilu in Hima. Always I'm hearing you.
Good to hear you, my brother. Good to hear you,
Good,
Madilu.
very good, and I'm happy to get you today.
Yes, how is Hima? How is Kasese?
Hima is very okay. Shining is there.
Okay.
Hima ni mitambua kurungi muno.
Okay.
Aya, now my matter now.
Zungumza.
Wacha nisungumuse sasa.
Aya.
President akiomba. Sorry.
Yes.
Anasema sorry. Kwa nini? Anasema sorry, lazima tumsikize sababu yeye ni president. Amefikiria ile maneno alikosea kidogo kidogo. Sasa anaona atarekebisha. Na tuwezi kumuingia ndani inside in the bedroom to us tell us it's not good. Sasa zile kitu tunasema wananchi, president na mama Janet wasasi wamesema sorry, inside deep you're going to remove something is behind. Thank you, Banyanji. Hima is very okay. Come on, excellent.
Thank you so much, Madilu. We love you here. Madilu is an ardent contributor to the Big Seat and majority of the shows on radio. We visit him normally in Kasese and express our love and admiration for the loyalty for all these years. Thank you, Madilu in Hima. Let me pick more of the calls on 752-912-912 and 780-912-910. The Big Seat.
Good morning, Banyaji.
Yes, good morning, my brother. What's your name and where are you calling from?
As usual, Kayongo is by the
Yes, Kayongo. It's been a while.
I'm always on.
All right, to the matter, what do you perceive of the apology by the president?
When I was in school,
I
have never made any apology in the office. Because meaning that when you made an apology, meaning that you have accepted that petition. But what forced Mr. Museveni to apologize to Ugandans? And his apology was not enough. The biggest apology what we could make and bring back the heart of Ugandans is that he could release all politicians, all people who are politicians from the jail, and he could make a very big news in the world. Have a good morning.
All right, thank you so much for that contribution. You're saying that the only genuine apology by the president is by releasing all political prisoners. And I agree. I think the best thing the president should do is to simply say all political prisoners, get your freedom. Let me read some of the messages off our Facebook page. Opio John, you're saying Newton's law of motion states action and reactions are equal but opposite. Apology without actions is what? And I have Darius Humor. You're saying we hope for change. In another, Sanja Mose Cox. First of all, inform him that their apology was not accepted because they did not tell us exactly what they were looking for to apologize for: the corruption, the massive killings, the political prisoners, and his convoy is causing jam. Nah. Masingus Yonesmas, you're saying NRM will forever be strong because of the people in the party. I read that message. Philip Mudsha, you're saying the man is right. He has reached his final days, so he's right to apologize. Then Bashir Aradi, you're saying he's apologizing for Uganda as a country. He's not apologizing to Uganda as a country, only Buganda. Then let me end with John Ian Makolawi saying, to be sincerely honest, in my humble opinion, without being sentimental, of course without offending anyone who thinks differently from my point of view, and without hiding any thoughts in mind, and without lies to the actual truth, with clear open minds and clean hearts, expressing whatever is embedded in me for a long time. But I have rather courage and motivation. Your point has no gist. Always saying it's all over the place. I have yes, Greenwood Shaggy, you're watching on Cruise TV. Then Commons Victoria is saying on Cruise TV, I don't see any problem with his apology. Since it builds trust and supports accountability, the problem with us is that we take things so personally. Nanga, Adria, and you're also watching on Cruise TV. Thank you for those that are streaming live. Let me come back here in studio as we wind out. When you read President Museveni, his body language while making the apology, he simply to be lost in speech.
Not aware of the flow of the document.
Yes.
It's as if the document had been imposed on him, because the wife was much aware of the contents and the words, how the
words were flowing,
and the pages and so forth. But Museveni was off. So he seemed to be supporting a position which is foreign to him, which he has no idea about. And I think, in his mind, he might have been asking himself, but am I really Museveni? Or am I being captured? Am I the same person? So it was not really, he appeared to be a share of his known self. And I think, when you see a chairperson of a party, unconsciously doing something, then that's not good for the party. And I think the members of the NRM have to come out and ask accountability from him. What were you doing? Okay? And at a time when people are dying, when and majority of them or many of them are people from the central part of the country. Now, a person like Edi Mutwe, that apology does not help him at all. Museveni must come to him personally, say, I'm sorry for ABC and D, and even the son has to come to him. But you don't just stand in someone's church and then say, to the people of Uganda and Uganda, I'm sorry. That's not enough.
Okay.
Yes.
Mr. Simwe, let me put the question to you that I had given Council Bwenje. Buganda in particular receiving the apology, knowing that the voting was against the NRA majorly in the previous election. Is this to sway the vote this time around to the interest of the NRA?
Thank you so much, Banyaji. I know it's a political electioneering season. We can't take it out of the arguments and deliberations we are having today. Literally, currently in the whole of Uganda, whatever Banyaji says, whatever Council it does, or whoever any other Ugandan does, in the public eye, they interpret it with those political specs and lenses. But truth be told, we are making big inroads in Uganda. Our support is coming back. The NUP support is being eroded. For these other parties, I hardly see them beating us in Uganda. As we speak right now, NUP has lost over 10 members of parliament from Uganda through just more internal misunderstandings here and there. And that's the reason as to why I still insist and say we must be appreciative of this good gesture, no matter the intentions or the motives behind it. It's a step in the right direction.
Okay. Yes, Apollo.
And also, you see, I don't know if Museveni is aware that if you're going to Kazo, to Chirhura, to Ntungamo, you don't see any poster of the NUP or of FDC. It is all NRM. And that should remind him that there's something wrong.
Okay. Yeah. Perhaps the people this side do not believe
and
in
and it's also, as he's making an apology, he should also apologize for the fact that the people of Chirhura voted 100% him.
And what's wrong with that?
Exactly. Actually, it has an element of tribalism. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Because if you complain that the people of Uganda don't vote for you, you should also be aware that your own people back home didn't vote for some other person.
Okay.
Yes.
Westgate, it's not our responsibility as NRM to put up posters of these opposition guys all over Uganda. There are places where where NRM is hardly visible on the ground. These are places that are known where the opposition dominates the affairs of the day
Okay.
in those particular regions. So at one time, as I conclude, it was hard for any other party to have a poster in Kasese. But things over time change. And that's the reason as to why, as NRM, we are deliberately making effort to make sure we reclaim the lost glory in Uganda. We don't take things for granted.
Yes,
when you read the messages on social media, especially X, the rage, the animosity, the anger, the anguish, the pain, people are literally sort of picking arms, and there's a lot of hate. If the president comes out to say, you know what, I feel you, I am sorry, why shouldn't Ugandans just accept the apology? Because going by what this person has been around for 40 years, he had never seen reason to apologize until now. Why not take it?
You see, earlier you put a question to Asimo here, what are kind of things that the government could have done and they are apologizing for. And of course he wrote around saying, you see corruption, you see the government has been here for some time. And also our listener, the comrade from Hima, he said, Madiru from Hima, he said in Kiswahili, tusaudia raisi kwa makosa madogo amefanya. And some people of course may not have understood that, but for him he says a few mistakes he has done. But Madiru from Hima, you are from Kasese, unakumbuka vita we had between waserikali wa president na watu wa under the kiongozi for Wenzuru Kingdom, and we left so many people dead in that scuffle. So for you from Kasese, at least you would be smart enough to say the NRM government has done a lot of atrocities this side. Now back to your point, you know, things have happened, and then the youth are here, so many of them unemployed. They look as if they have lost hope, and for them they think they should own this country from their understanding and wisdom. And every time there is a bad policy, or there is a weird way of handling things, they get charged. And we all know that President Museveni, for example, when Kyagulanyi was arrested in 2020 November, people died here, and President Museveni, out of the people that died, there were 32 whom he said that those were rioters, and there is no apology for that. They should actually die. So he has not been a kind of a person who will just come simply to apologize. He always want to show us that he has power, and that's what he can do. Kakansobwenje noted that he would actually, President Museveni should have actually gone to personally apologize to Edward Sebufu Mutwe. And I want to relate that to when Derek Chauvin, who is a former police officer in the US, murdered George Floyd. You know, it raised a global outcry for Black Lives Matter. President Joe Biden went and apologized to the son of George Floyd. He asked for apology from a little boy of George Floyd, so that he can take it as something that was bad, something bad that was done against his father. When Kyagulanyi went to visit Edward Sebufu, he went with the wife and the children of Ed Mutwe. And I wonder, a child of Ed Mutwe seeing his father in that pain, what he thinks. what he is going to plan in the next 10 years. It could be revenge, it could be something. So if the apology is coming, let it reach to the bone marrow, to the people whom have felt the pain, whom have felt the torture, whom have felt
Information.
that's what we expect that President Museveni should just modify. But we know, like we said, we have agreed here in the studio that this document was not for President Museveni. It is Mama Janet, who is, by the way,
You have agreed with who you have.
we have agreed. So,
No.
1 second, let me finish.
Mr. Apollo, say you
majority
and
agree
say
that
you and
Museveni
the
had
council
no
agree, but
mandate
not to me.
Let's allow him conclude.
let me finish in 5 seconds. But we all know that Mama Janet is not simply a first lady, but she is an architect of the state power. She has been there, and for us who follow politics and how she has been so much involved in cooking the politics within the powerhouse. You know, when you see like right now Nabanja, Jessica Lupo, all these ones were almost the same. We are onlookers. Even for them, they are also shocked to see like an apology. They did know that such a document was coming. They are part of the government, but Mama Janeti, General Salim Saleh, General Mos, those people are within the architecture of the state, of the power. So for them, they know what they are doing, and we know that this document, it was authored and not co-authored, but authored entirely by Mama Janet, and President Museveni was just reading like the way you would read a scripture in the church. Yeah.
Okay.
And also, it speaks to the fact that the NRM as an institution has been captured by the first family, because the first family stands up and makes an apology on behalf of the NRM. The NRM is not aware. So I think there must be some kind of a questioning. Who gave the authority to Museveni to publish or to even read such a statement?
But I think you're very wrong.
No.
Because
No,
why
no.
wouldn't a
Because
president
you
have
see,
rights?
said,
But you're a lawyer.
As
You
he
see,
said,
how can
as
you
he said-
deny a person an opportunity to apologize that they must seek permission from another power to apologize?
It would have been different if he was apologizing.
This
as
was
a
a
person.
personal apology on behalf of...
No, it was. You see, we asked the people of Uganda to forgive us. When we came 40 years ago, he meant the NRM.
Information.
So it was an apology of the NRM.
Information.
Yes.
Not Museveni.
Council,
Hey.
they did it.
Yes.
Believe me or not, His Excellency was the chairman of NRA that ushered in
The
this-
NRM.
The NRM. He has all the powers and the mandate from us, people who subscribe to NRM,
no.
to apologize on behalf of the government in
Okay.
his capacity as the president of
Thank
this
you,
country,
gentlemen.
as the chairman of NRM.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Let's gear up for something different. In the High Court, Justice Namanya sent chills in the NUP when he ordered that there should be another election for the by-election that was held in Kawempe North. His reasoning were to voter disfranchisement, where a couple of votes were not included in the aggregated tally, but also the candidate Elias Narukora, who was the flag bearer of the NUP, campaigned on the last day. I think for me, the message, Council Bwenje, that would be sent, yes, on the actual day of voting.
Not on the last day.
On the actual day of voting. But for me, I think the message that this is sent to other competitors, that you see another party or an external force can antagonize the process,
No,
disorganize it,
it cannot.
and then the burden is laid on the Electoral Commission, who has no interest to appeal, and then the result is overturned.
Yes.
Wasn't this unfair?
No.
That court did not consider the circumstances?
It did actually.
Mm.
You see, for you to be elected as an MP or a president, you must have done your part as a candidate. And it is not all. And the EC must have done its part as the regulator and supervisor of a free and fair election. Those two responsibilities go hand in hand. The moment the Electoral Commission does not hold a free and fair election, the election must fall. And the judge was cognizant of the fact that there was electoral violence. But he said the EC had the responsibility to adjourn either to a later time of the same day or to the following day. But it had no right to omit any result of a voter, because under Article 59 of the Constitution, every person has the right to vote. So the judge is aware that violence can come, but the EC must wait for the violence to subside. Okay? And that was the reason why he said the EC did not do its job as per the Constitution. And also the judge also has stated something new, that it is possible for you to kind of cast your vote when actually you have not voted.
That is
That
true.
voting is not an event; it is a process. You come and you tick, and the vote is it is counted at the polling station, and it is transmitted to the tally center. And if it is not transmitted there, then you have not voted. And I think he's trying to kind of send a message to the EC and we, that it's not enough for you to go to the station. You must vote and stay there and protect your vote. And protecting your vote means that ensure that your vote is transmitted. So the DR forms have to be filled and transported to the tally center. Short of that, the election has to fall. And of course, and I think I'd already stated it, the judge is not stating anything new. We already knew the outcome. Because if the results of 14 polling stations, and the votes are 16,640, and the difference between the first candidate and the second candidate is 8,881. That is half of the votes which are not which are unaccounted for. Such an election definitely cannot stand, where the number of unaccounted for is higher than the margin. Then it means that substantially the election is not free and fair and has to and cannot stand. And so, of course, as Daria stated, it was a good judgment. There were many objections at the start, and the judge ensured that he hears the case on the merits of it. But on the on a large scale, I think Nambi did what she did a kind of what she was kind of in a position where she did a great job as opposed to who to Narcora.
Okay.
Because her witnesses were unshaken and they're of course strong and so forth. But for Narcora, I think he did an error to campaign on the polling day. That is an error which no candidate should ever do.
Yes, Bandis.
Thank you, Westgate. Every judgment, every court ruling, there are always lessons to be learned. And Council Deus did it has done justice in regards to dissecting the issues at hand. Being a politically charged season, we might miss out.
Yeah, let me hold you right there. And we're joined by Honorable Richard Sebamada, who is the Member of Parliament for Bokoto Central. Good morning, Honorable, and welcome to the Big Set.
Good morning, how are you?
You're on air, and the people of Western Uganda, they just lost him, but we are going to get back and get to see as you deliberate.
So I was.
Yes, sir, he's back. Good morning, Honorable, and welcome to the show.
Good morning, how are you?
Great. The people of Western Uganda are listening to you. We want to, first of all, know how is the Democratic Party National Delegates Conference happening? And we know, certainly, that you are almost stopped from entering where the venue is. Tell us the state of affairs as of now.
As of now, of course, the only reason they were stopping me was because they were timid and they were worried. They knew I would win Mao. Now, what happens is the Democratic Party is supposed to, they were saying that I have not made 5 years on the delegates on the National Council. But we were elected 5 years ago. On that day, we saw to be on this delegates on the National Council for 5 years. We are voting again today, meaning it is 5 years. Otherwise, you do not organize a delegates conference if it was not 5 years, because our mandate was 5 years. Anyway, that fast forward. We of course we've heard, we complained about the lists of delegates that are going to vote. We complained for some time. We asked for the list of the delegates that are going to vote, and they were not provided. Finally, the list was provided on Thursday after a lot of commotion. An e-list, actually, it was just sent on people's phones. Then today, we are surprised that another list has come up. They have come up with another list of over 350 people that were not in the original list. And new delegate tags have been made. We don't know these people. Some are from Karamoja, some are students from the universities around here and Kampala. And they are, they have been given the delegates list, and they are entering. The batch of delegates delegate name tags was put at Justice Impenja's residence. Batches are entering the residence and being given delegates, tags, and then they come to the main door and enter. It's just a mess. It's just a mess. But we don't worry. We keep soldiering on. I tell you, Ugandans, nobody is speaking for the disadvantaged. All we need today is the Democratic Party that used to talk about the anomalies that used to happen. Western Uganda, milk, honey, prices of commodities, taxes. Who talks for you? Who talks for the nepotism? Who talks for the different things that are happening in this country today? It is because the Democratic Party was silenced. So we are saying, can we have that voice again? Just to be transparent, just to be those people that tell the truth to power. So that is what is happening. It is just a mess. They have brought the army. They have brought a lot of police. They are bringing in delegates that we don't know. They brought in 4 buses last night. The delegates that are supposed to enter, like from a central region, Greater Masaka, 11 districts, then other, Wachiso and others, their names have not been worked on. They don't have them. And they're keeping them outside the gate as they bring in those that they fired in yesterday. That is the state of affairs at the moment. Democratic Party is no longer transparent, and it is led by the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs.
Now, knowing that the entire process is flawed and tainted with a lot of influence, how are you going to guarantee the outcome of that process?
Call me back at 5. You know who
With
Sebamala Richard is.
we have in studio we have two lawyers and an economist, and they've been waiting to hear from you and how you can assure them of the process of the Democratic Party. But in Western Uganda, we know certainly, yes.
You know, the process is supposed to be, we nominate, after nomination, because the lawyers could tell us, if I came in and if you came and said somebody should be active for 10 years, how do you determine active? Because I've been in the party for 10 years. We've not even gotten any references from my branch. I was the branch chairman. I was the branch treasurer 10 years ago. So how can you tell me today that after 10 years I do not qualify? Just because I was a public servant 10 years ago, they didn't know that I had resigned in 2014. So they wanted to hinge on that. That one failed. Then I want them to clear out this thing. That if I saw in today, and I said I am swearing in for a term of 5 years, and I started the term, then they organized another delegates conference 2 months before the day I sweared in. But yet I saw 10 years to be there 5 years. How then can somebody say that at this delegates conference you do not qualify, you wait for 2 months in order to be 5 years? Yet the delegates conference that we are electing again, people that were sworn in 5 years ago, we are electing them again today. How do you say that? You know what? Because the other delegates conference was 2 months ahead, you're not yet 5 years. That is also another lacuna that they can tell us. But it is either 10 years or cancel 5 years.
Okay,
The
but
lacuna I wanted to tell them is,
yes.
what does it mean for somebody to not, because the elections are supposed to be free and fair. Delegates lists are not provided. Delegates themselves do not even know, people that are supposed to be voted do not even know themselves. Then finally, you come up with a delegate list 1 day to election. Then you say the election is the next day. You produce this on 29th, and you say you're coming on 30th. No campaigns, no nothing. Then they say these are the people that are supposed to vote you. Our constitution says that the delegate list is supposed to go to the National Council, and it is authenticated before we come for the delegates conference. The National Council and National Executive Committee were not convened because we wanted Mao to come and explain the cooperation agreement, and he suspected a coup. So that's why he said, no, I'm not going to put the National Council and National Executive Committee to verify and authenticate the list. Today, he's bringing in people that we don't even know. Of course, with influence, he has brought the army and the rest. But I assure you, Mbarara, I assure you, my brothers, I beat the Vice President of the Republic of Uganda. I have dealt with SFC, the army, and the police at another level. Mao is going to witness what I am made of today.
What is your position on the cooperation agreement with the NRM? You as Honorable Richard Sebamada.
I don't believe in the cooperation agreement. One, these are the ingredients of the cooperation agreement. That the members of parliament of Democratic Party will vote with the NRM in parliament. That is one. Two, they will whenever we have anything, even if it is a private member's bill, we shall first consult the NRM. That our agenda as Democratic Party shall first be laid to the lead of government business before we can present it on the floor of parliament. You understand? It was actually a merger. Somebody made it, you look at it as a cooperation agreement, but the ingredients are kind of a merger. Two, that the leader, the Democratic Party president will remain minister for as long as they are still a president in Democratic Party. Those are the ingredients. How can you believe in such? We were voted by a population in the constituency that under the first thing, representation, because we have 4: representation, budgeting, oversight, and law, legislature. Now, of those 4, look at representation. We are supposed to get our ideas from our people and represent them in parliament. How then do I first consult the NRM about what my people want? Actually, the cooperation agreement is totally against the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, scrapping rights of the members of the Democratic Party of anything. How do I believe in such? So that was the first dissent that we got with Mr. Norbert Mao.
We know
And
certainly.
we have kept the rest where he has not made any structures in 15 years. He has made sure that the district chairpersons are, he has created a gap between the district chairpersons and the headquarter. He has done no mobilization at all. You find that we are losing members of parliament from 15, then we came to 10, now we are at 6. Now we are at 6 because recently three of the MPs from Democratic Party crossed to NUP. He still says he doesn't mind even if we have only one MP, Democratic Party will exist. We cannot have such a narrative.
Maybe.
Then why then are we there? We are a political party. He gets a political party. You saw when he got all of the leaders of Democratic Party and took them to meet genocide. Here they want to listen on, he was telling them about Operation Wealth Creation. Our party was meant for power and control. It was not meant to make money. How do you get there, get your youth leaders, women leaders, chairpersons of the whole district, and then you take them to meet genocide?
Okay.
You've seen all of these things.
The panel.
Does Democratic Party really exist? When the head is just actually looking for a token, a meal card.
Okay, let's hear Honorable Sibamara from the panel. Yes, we have Mr. Simwebandisi here. Put a question to you.
But very briefly, because
yes.
Yes. It's okay. Honorable Richard, I can feel your pain, and as a young democracy, I for one am in NRM, and I would prefer us having a strong opposition for those checks and balances, so that you keep us, you whip us to stay in the right line in regards to service delivery to all Ugandans, ourselves inclusive.
That's the truth, my brother.
And it's quite saddening when you find that even the opposition right now, you can't hold your house together. How are you going to address this?
The only way we can address this is when we change leadership of the party. In Buganda, they say Echenyanja Chivunda Kuva Kumutwe. The only way we can address the issues that are affecting Uganda today is by changing the leadership of Democratic Party. You cannot have Norbert Mao in cabinet today on Monday, then on Tuesday he addresses the presser at our headquarters telling us that he's against what was in cabinet the day before. What's that? You cannot have Mbid the running all over to become a good DP in order to go to Yala. The same applies to Siranda. And those are the people that are leading the party as President General and Secretary General. You know that you cannot have another chairman of the chairman of the party on a board of some entity. You understand? The leadership is the problem. I just want us to change the leadership such that we can address the issues that NRM comes up with. I was here in Barara as an engineer in 2009, 2010, and 2011 after my master's in Nebraska in Dana College in the USA. I worked on strategic health improvement plan 2. We built the health centers all over Western Uganda. I worked in Kiruhura, Remikoma, Chikasi, Kanyarieru. All of those, and Kiruhura itself, Remikoma, Chikasi. There were 4. We come to Mbarara. We had here Chinoni, Bugamba, Bushiro Kashari. We had Nyakayoyo. We had in Isinjiro. We had Nyamuyanja. We had Nyarubungo. We had Indija. In Ntungamo, we had Butare, Rwashamire, Rwechiniro, Ruhama. In Kabari, we had Buchinda, Buhara, Kamuganguzi, Bufundi, Butanda, Hamurwa, Greater Bushenyi. We had Shukushema, Chuhunda, and Katunguru. I know this place very well. I have lived with her. My wife comes from here. She's a born of this place, and I know the problems that are being. You're even sometimes blamed for things that you don't know. Everyone will think that every Munyakore is eating. Yet it is not the case.
Okay.
There are things that are supposed to be addressed by the opposition. That Norbert Mao can no longer address because he has some, I don't know, it would be a loaf in his mouth.
Okay. Let's have one, the very last one. Yes, Councillor Wenje.
I have a question for you, and it concerns the cooperation agreement. If you don't support it, why didn't you sue Mao or the DP? Or did you think that you would become a beneficiary of the same until now.
Okay.
Come again? I didn't
He says that if at all you disagree with the cooperation agreement, why didn't you sue either Mao in his person or the party?
Yes, for the High Court to nullify it.
Yes.
When the cooperation agreement was made, I want Council Wenje to speak the truth. To speak the truth, whether he did not see the members of parliament coming up with a suit against the party, against Robert Mao, against Slanda, and against other things. Actually, it was our lawyer was the president of UPC. What is his name? I'm forgetting his name.
Peter Waluviri.
Yes, he was the one that drafted everything because he had gone through the same with Akena. So we consulted him, talked to him, he came up with something, and then the problem why it did not go forward is because the judge said that we did not have a copy of the cooperation agreement, we just had scattered information on it for it to attach. Then we asked Robert Mao to give us a cooperation agreement. He refused. He only released it in the National Council in Soroti 2 months ago. That's when he came up with, that's when he released the copy to the delegates, to us. You know, for how long are we going to be suffocated?
Yes. The very last one, Honorable Sibamala.
Yes. According to Mao, I think the cooperation agreement should be expiring this term. Is that true or not? And is the DP planning to renew it anyway?
Is it renewable? If he remains in power, is it renewable?
Thank you so much, Honorable Richard Sebamada, for sparing time to talk to us here on the big seat, but generally in Western Uganda.
There's a lot happening at the site.
Okay, good luck.
Thank you.
All right. That was Honorable Richard Sebamada. Let's come back here. I think he's been able to answer some of that. But let me hear your parting shots, especially on the outcome in the petition, the parliamentary petition in court. Yes, Banjis.
Thank you, Westgate. As I was earlier submitting, but allow me to appreciate the insights that Honorable Engineer Richard has given us in regards to what is transpiring right now in the DP National Delegates Conference at Asama Hotel. It's a pity, it's unfortunate, because us in NRM would love to have a strong opposition that would push us to the edge to deliver services to all Ugandans. The judgment of this week, it's a precursor of what's coming in regards to preparations for the general elections come 2026. What needs to be done? Voting, it's not the casting of that vote on that day. It's a process that should have actually started last year. Did you get registered? Are the right people the ones in the registrar? If they did, has enough civic education taken place? The agents, do they know their roles on the polling day? What do they have to do? What shouldn't they do? Can they monitor and ensure a free and fair election? What is acceptable? The minimum standards, the minimum benchmark for something to be a semblance of a free and fair election. There was a lot of security interference. The results from the 14 polling stations that were never declared, because we've seen cases where a court makes a pronouncement and they say whatever could have transpired couldn't have impacted the final results the other way. But this time round, what transpired, I know those so-called 14 polling stations, Honorable Narkora, could have as well beaten Nambi there. But we are not sure of that, the fact that we are never.
Okay.
So the judgment has no problem, but let's pick lessons from there. We prepare better for the forthcoming general election. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, Apollo Tumsime. We know that the Supreme Court, in especially 2006, made very good pronouncements in as far as the fidelity of the process in the election is concerned. I think this was only a reiteration of the mind of the Supreme Court. is that it shouldn't merely be about the result, but rather the process, how the result is arrived at. But the differences between the 2006 and now is that even when the other process was tainted with a lot of irregularities, the Supreme Court, the majority refused to overturn the result. But here, the judge was quick to say, yes, I recognize that the process was flawed, therefore it could not have created a credible result, and I'm overturning that election and setting it aside. What's the difference that you see in the two?
They should maintain that. They should maintain that consistency. If they say it in Kawempe North, then come 2026, when we have similar incidences.
Yes.
My humble prayer to our judicial system is one. This being a precursor of what we are anticipating, our request is just one. Come 2026, when we have similar incidences across board in the whole of this country, from whatever level to the presidential level, we expect the courts to be consistent in making these kind of pronouncements and rulings, irrespective of who the parties are to those petitions.
Okay. Yes.
When we are discussing a judgment and seated with people who have gone through the law school, I remain with few options, and I will not discuss the law now. I'm going to discuss politics maybe, and then the spirit of the law itself. So let me make a reference of two cases. One, in 2016, the Electoral Commission is given only 48 hours to announce the result of the presidential elections. So for some reason, results from Wakiso and Kampala delayed to reach the Tale Center. It was so fast that the results from Karamoja made way through to the Tale Center, and then results from Wakiso and Kampala had not made their way to the Tale Center, so they were not tallied by the time the 48 hours mark knocked. So the Electoral Commission had to go ahead and announce the results because Engineer Bad Chugun said even if we had the results, they were not going to change anything in terms of the outcome. But we all know that Kizza Besigye in that election, who got I think around 26%, somehow because Kampala and Wakiso are the stronghold for opposition, would have had a significant increase in his percentage. And even though it does not change the result who wins the presidential election, but of course having that high percentage gives a clear picture somehow. The same way if Robert Kyagulanyi was denied the votes for Wakiso and Kampala are not added to his tally. So the spirit, and of course Babas went to court and they looked at that, but of course they agreed with the Electoral Commission that it could not change anything. Now another reference case, just in 5 seconds. We had electoral a petition between Genensio and Tayebwa in Kashonji in Chiruhula, and then the High Court here in Mbalala, they said when you're going to get nominated to become a member of parliament, you need just 10 signatures, 10 of them, and one of the persons who were nominating Honorable Genensio did not sign, so only 9 had signed. And of course, the Electoral Commission, the High Court and the petition are based on that. Even though Honorable Genensio in that election pulled over 10,000 of elections, but they said you are not qualified actually to stand as a member of parliament. So sometimes I know the spirit speaks otherwise. I thought that the judge could just look at the number of votes this person has got, and if they say you cannot fail to get 10 people, but of course that's the law. So we welcome the ruling. We know President Museveni, of course, said immediately after the election, said that we are going to court, and they wanted to make a statement. So the NRM had interest in that case. Todonga and President Museveni, of course, they had interest in that case to see that they can challenge the opposition and maybe send a picture that we will not entertain any kind of violence. Of course, whoever caused the violence, we know the Jat was there, we know the Chifesu was there, we know Minister Barama and Hajati Misakabanda were there, and they claim that they are the ones who were the goons that destroyed the electoral materials, and in the end it was decided in their favor. Let's wait for what the Court of Appeal says, and in any case, if there is still time to organize a by-election, we pray, because I know so many Ugandans, I read all the comments, all of them feel for Elias Luyemba's Nalkola, and that's what we expect, that if there is a by-election, he regains his seat.
Thank you, Mr. Apologises. Thank you, Asimo Wanjisi. Thank you, Dosrit Bwenje. Thank you to Honorable Richard Sebamala. My name is Wes Gibanyaji. We have news at the top of the hour. Let's catch up next Saturday for the Big Seed. Good morning. God bless you.